Texas Tombstone, Texas Tombstone. I heard something about that. I heard. Hello, everybody. This is Nick.
And Matthew from Plastic Tombstone.
And we're back with another episode of I Heard Something About That. I almost went right into the PG's
toy box.
It's out of habit.
We kind of do the same kind of intro.
We do. But this week we're going to talk about Game of Thrones, obviously, Beyond the Wall. It's full spoilers at the end. But we don't really have much else. What else do we? We don't have a lot.
Not really a whole lot of news. Just some.
Yeah, we kind of just watched Game of Thrones and that was about it.
Yeah.
We really want to talk about it, so it'll probably be like a 10-minute news catch up, and then let's go.
Yeah.
So, well, let's talk about the big news of the week. Obviously, the eclipse happened right where we were.
Yeah, it happened a little while ago, actually.
You were out at the park, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I was just here at my casa. It was pretty cool. I was kind of blah about the eclipse. I was more annoyed at the hype everybody was.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were like me. I was like, oh, it's gonna be pretty cool, but I wasn't expecting to be just kind of like wowed by it because I really was.
Yeah, it was like I'm sick of the parties and the eclipse shirts with Baby Groot on them. Like people are just always trying to cash in on stuff, and it was sort of annoyed the crap out of me. Yeah, the glasses. People selling glasses for $40 a pop.
It was literally a lady standing by the road when we were driving to go to the park, waving glasses just on the side of the road.
Oh yeah, because people were desperate because Amazon pulled that bull crap that was. Oh, by the way, our glasses don't work.
Yeah.
Don't look at the sun. You're gonna go blind.
Everybody's like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, freak out, freak out, freak out.
So me and my girlfriend talked about this a little bit. What if you didn't know the eclipse was happening? And then all of a sudden,
we said the same thing.
And all of a sudden, it's like 2:30 in the afternoon, and everything just goes dark.
We were talking about the people like that stand by the road and beg for stuff, you know? Like,
oh yeah, they probably did.
What the fuck did they?
What happened? The eclipse.
Oh my god!
But it was cool. It vaguely turned to dusk. We're in the line of totality, as they called it. Like
yeah.
Nashville, Mount Juliet area was like probably the best viewing. They said.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, we were in one of the few cities in the United States. This is the first time it's been over landfall in hundreds of years, so we'll never see it again.
Yeah,
unless we go to in the middle of the ocean or something.
And the one of the cool things about it for me is like kind of everybody kind of just was wowed by it. Like it's almost like the world stood still for like the 2 minutes. It was in totality, and it's kind of nice to see like everybody kind of coming together
for something good.
Yeah, to pay attention to like a natural phenomenon. And you know, it doesn't matter what fucking race or political side you stand on. You know,
everybody was watching it.
Yeah, and it kind of puts you in a little bit of perspective of how small you are in the universe when you see something that epic.
It's true. And the coolest part was when it just turned to dark.
Yeah,
turned completely dark, and then like all the street lights came on, and it was crickets outside. It was just like that was bizarro.
We did a time lapse of it when we were out there.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Just sitting there looking up at the sky, and all of a sudden it gets dark, and then it's light again.
Yeah, that's cool. I literally just was watching and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I'm gonna go get my camera. And I ran inside, got my camera, and just snapped like 4 or 5 pictures. The thing I felt about it was, it's like, man, there's gonna be people like you and people who have like amazing equipment. There's no way my dinky little T4 eye is gonna capture anything near what everybody else has got. But I did one more for myself, you know.
We didn't do anything with our gear. We just were like, let's just enjoy it.
Yeah, but the other people, I mean, have you seen the people with the pictures with like the rays and stuff coming off of it?
Actually,
did you notice that? How the ground got all wavy?
The shadows,
stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the coolest part.
One of our friends took professional photos, and you could see like some sun flares peeking out from around it and stuff. Like,
yeah,
it was
shit
really
like
cool.
That's awesome, and I'll gladly look at those pictures. But there's no way we were gonna capture anything like that. We just wanted to see it, so it was interesting.
Definitely something we'll never see again, and.
Yeah, unless we go, like I said, go charter a boat in the middle of the ocean sometime in 20 years.
Yeah, kind of a nice moment in time where everybody was kind of on the same page for a few minutes.
Just for a few, and then everything falls apart again.
Did you see the pictures of Donald Trump looking directly at it without getting glasses?
Oh yeah, I'm sure he was doing that.
He's like, "What's that?
What's going on here?
Hey, is that North Korea?"
Is that North Korea? I think North Korea is blotting out the sun. But what else we got? You got some Evil Dead stuff?
Yeah. So obviously the past few podcasts have been talking about kind of how it's up in the air.
Yeah.
And I guess Bruce Campbell kind of hinted at the fact that he said that season 4 will depend on people downloading the Starz app because he says that Asher's Evil Dead is the most illegally downloaded show.
Oh yeah, I
Right.
imagine that's probably the case, right? It's so if a bunch of people are illegally downloading it and watching it, maybe they're not making their money back for it.
Yeah, but it's kind of weird to think about. It's like, is that still such a problem that it could cancel a show?
I mean, maybe, but I don't. It's not stopping Game of Thrones. Let's be honest. I mean,
Right.
Evil Dead's not as huge as Game of Thrones is right now, but
It still has a huge fan base.
it still has a huge fan base. But it's like it can't be that many people doing that.
But there's still a lot of people who don't want to pay money. Like, Starz is a premium channel. Some people don't want to pay that kind of money.
Yeah, would they have benefited better from like moving to another channel?
I think Netflix probably would have been a better choice because everybody has Netflix.
Yeah, most people don't have Stars.
Yeah.
I don't own Stars. I would have totally watched the Evil Dead series, but again, I have to rely on you or I have to rent it or something because I don't have Stars.
And a lot of it too is like, if Netflix, most people have it's about $8 a month, and the Stars app I think is like $8 a month or something like that. But for me, it's like the only reason I watch Stars is for Asher's Evil Dead.
Yeah, so if once that show's over or if it goes off, you're going to cancel your subscription. And
Yeah,
that's it.
so if I'm not like a diehard fan like me, then I can kind of understand most people not wanting to pay the monthly fee just to watch the show. They just want to wait for the Blu-ray or illegally download it, which I don't what's the word I'm looking for?
Condone.
That's it.
Yeah, I got HBO obviously to watch Game of Thrones and I pay for that monthly, but it's like there's more shows on there.
Yeah.
There's a lot more shows and a lot more movies that come out per week and stuff like that, so it makes HBO is kind of worth it to have.
Well,
Stars is just like rehashed movies that came out and you can just like
But I do subscribe to Stars every time it comes out because that's my support,
Yeah, that's
But I do understand most people not wanting to do that, which kind of sucks. So hopefully something changes on that.
Yeah, something changes on that front and people will hopefully they support it. I mean, that's the number one rule we have. If you like something, support it, because if not, then it doesn't exist.
I know Rob Tappert is like really good with like good pals with the people at Stars, so
maybe that's why.
I guess maybe he kind of wants to stick with them, but it's like maybe you should try looking into something like Netflix because Netflix
would pay out the ass for that.
Yeah,
because they know it's a popular show and they know people would probably tune in for it.
Yeah, and more people are watching Netflix now than anything.
More people watching Netflix and TV probably, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just like such a.
I'm just waiting for cable to be extinct. It's gonna come eventually.
I mean, I literally don't watch a cable channel anymore.
We rarely do. I watch Game of Thrones when it airs, and I watch Asher's Evil Dead when it airs. Occasionally, I'll watch wrestling.
But that's it.
That's about it.
Yeah, I just watch stuff on Hulu when it comes in. I think as you get older, you just develop more patience. Like, I remember being a kid and being like, I have to see this movie tonight at midnight.
Yeah.
And now I'm just like, I'll just see it when it comes out on DVD, or I'll just go in the middle of the day when there's nobody there. So I'm a little more patient now.
Speaking of wrestling.
Uh-oh. Something happened at SummerSlam?
So SummerSlam happened last night.
SummerSlam.
And they did this thing where...
Was that guy talking about the Nintendo Switch again?
No. Shawn Michaels came out dressed as Colonel Sanders and danced around.
Why?
He's like the new KFC spokesman for WWE or something.
Wait, so Shawn Michaels is the new KFC spokesman for the WWE?
I guess KFC was sponsoring the show because they were plugging KFC all night. So like it plays like his music like he's coming out, but like instead of like the HBK popping on the screen, it says KFC, and he comes out like Colonel Sanders, just dances around. That's all he does, and he goes away.
What happened? What's happening to wrestling?
I don't know. It was fucking weird.
Is wrestling ever gonna go away? Like, is wrestling ever gonna? Is it make enough money to?
I think WWE is kind of at the point where it's like, just the name alone is worth money. Like,
yeah,
people will still go see it just because of what it is.
So is it one of those things where people just like, I've been watching this forever, I'll just keep watching it, and like, but people aren't as into it as they used to be? Because I remember when wrestling was a phenomenon in like the 80s.
That's because wrestling was rebellious.
Yeah.
Now it's like, let's like make sure we take care of the children and not do anything controversial.
The Nintendo Switch. Sorry, I didn't see you there. I was playing my Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, let's shamelessly plug things. Like,
but that's usually, I think that's usually a sign of a company in trouble sometimes, when you're just like, when you really, really need ads.
Yeah.
In order to do ads, you need to like, they're probably making money, yes, But most of the time, they didn't have to do that a long time ago.
What do you think? It's like kind of a sign of the times. Like we're talking about how everybody's kind of triggered by everything these days.
Yeah.
Everybody's so sensitive, but like, so like maybe they're kind of a sign of the times. They don't do anything like really off kilter.
Well, there's so much. The internet has brought out like the trolls, and like sometimes people just don't want to deal with it. You almost can't say anything anymore without, like, even if you're trying to be positive about something, people will find a way to make it negative.
Well, WWE doesn't even wrestling doesn't even do anything, controversial.
Yeah.
Although,
well, it's on basic cable now. So
yeah, but do you remember what the Attitude Era, some of the crazy stuff that happened on
they
basic
used to
cable?
Flip people off, and
like
one of the wrestlers had a move called the Bronco Buster, where he essentially humped somebody's face.
Yeah, Val Venus had his wiener chopped off by Kayenta at one point.
Oh my God, his wiener chopped off.
And then he was saved by who was that guy that actually did have his wiener chopped off? John Bobbitt.
Oh,
he was saved by John Bobbitt. I mean, it was a weird time in life.
It was a weird time in life, but yeah, it's so difficult to even say anything anymore. Like we're gonna talk about Game of Thrones in a bit, but people used to be mad that Game of Thrones went too slow, and now people are complaining Game of Thrones is going too fast. It's just like, come on.
There was the uproar about Sansa getting raped.
Yeah, it was just like,
it's like, shut up.
It's the show. Watch the show. You know what the show's about.
The show elicits a response emotionally. Like,
yeah,
the rape scene is supposed to enrage you, not to the point where you're like protesting, but it's like, oh,
it's supposed to upset you. Yeah, that's the point of it. It wasn't but it's just like you can't do anything anymore. So it's just like, I think maybe you're right. Wrestling is just kind of being like, let's play it safe. Let's talk about the Nintendo Switch and KFC.
Yeah, let's fucking dress Shawn Michaels up as a Colonel Sanders and let him dance around for a little bit and see if people aren't confused by it.
Anything else? I'm ready to talk about Game of Thrones.
Well, didn't you have something about the Punisher?
Oh yeah, the Defenders premiered Friday, the 8th episode, and it's getting mixed reviews. So
does it seem like those shows are coming out way too fast?
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't watched anything past the Daredevils.
Yeah. They're coming out pretty quick. The thing about the shows that I will say is they're all really different, but the problem is Iron Fist was the least popular of them, and he's a central character in the Defenders, so everybody's kind of having like heartburn about that, which is, it's whatever. I haven't watched it yet. When I watch it, it's only 8 episodes. I'll give you my feedback on it. But
I liked the first season of Daredevil really. I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
And I thought the second season felt really, really
crammed.
Yeah, I feel like they tried to like, oh, so this is a successful thing. Let's shove everything into it. Here's ninjas. Here's Elektra. Here's the Punisher.
Yeah. What those series do usually is like, what I've noticed from watching, I've seen all of them, is one half of the season is one thing and the other half is another. So the first 6 episodes is one story arc, and then something happens and this arc switches. It's kind of what they were doing. Because if you watch the episode of Daredevil season 2, the first 6 episodes are about him getting the Punisher, and then it goes into the whole hand stuff and Elektra, and it's just adding more to it.
Yeah. It doesn't flow well.
Yeah, it probably should have been like 6 or 7 episodes of the Punisher, ended it, and then had another season where it was all the Elektra stuff, maybe, and it wouldn't have felt as crammed and convoluted.
Yeah, I just don't feel like. I feel like Daredevil probably could have went another season or 2 where it was just kind of him.
Yeah. And that might be what they're trying to do, but they're also trying to push that Defenders thing, and we'll see how it goes. Again, I haven't watched it when I do.
Yeah, I need to sit down and watch all those, but
at the end there was a little teaser for the Punisher, which was honestly in this day and age is a surprise that doesn't really happen very often anymore, because even the Game of Thrones episode we're about to talk about was leaked. Spanish HBO accidentally played this week's episode last week, so everybody kind of knew what was going to happen.
Good thing I didn't read any spoilers.
I didn't read any spoilers either, but it was just like... But they just released it at the end, and for a while, the only place you could see it was on Netflix.
Nice.
People were starting to rip it and stuff. And it's not much. It's just like Frank Castle and flashes of his past and all that stuff. And it's supposed to be just a mini-series, not like a big whole series. But we'll see how it goes. I just thought that was a neat surprise that finally there's stuff, secret things going on.
Speaking of, like, things like being hidden like that, like not, because kind of nothing's
secret a surprise anymore.
Yeah, like, when we used to be younger and we collected toys and stuff, we didn't have the internet to tell us what was coming out. You would go to the store and be like, oh my god, this figure's out.
It was just there. Yeah,
I was thinking about making like a movie or a mini movie or something, and like actually putting it on a VHS and like just there's like, because there's still like some video stores around, like retro kind of. That's kind of their thing. They're like into retro videos and stuff, and just giving it to these places and see if it ever picks up any steam like that way. Just like,
from people just discovering it and finding it. Look at this weird ass movie.
Yeah, just like randomly like that.
I mean,
not putting anything online about it.
That's kind of how The Room happened, right?
Kind of, yeah.
Like somebody saw it one day, was like, "This is fucking weird," and it just like the flu.
Pretty much.
All of a sudden, if one person, that's what they say about positivity versus negativity is like, if which worked for The Room. But if you like a movie, you might tell 1 or 2 people. If you hate a movie, you're going to tell 20 people that it sucked.
Yeah.
And you hated it. And so more people get more negative vibe, which kind of affects a lot of things these days. Because now it's the internet, and it's just like, if one person gets online and says, this movie was fucking bullshit, and somebody goes, yeah, I heard that movie was crap. I heard that movie was terrible. And all of a sudden everybody thinks the movie's terrible, and nobody even saw it.
Yeah.
It happens to a lot of movies. I mean, I wasn't a fan of it, but that kind of happened to the Lone Ranger movie that came out a couple years ago. The Johnny Depp one.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even watch it.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was. I saw it. It was fine. It was a fine action Disney movie. Whatever. It was. It didn't. It wasn't weird. It wasn't like out of place or anything. It was just like everybody was just like, this movie's terrible. Don't go see it. John Carter of Mars was kind of the same way.
Well, I heard the big problem with Lone Ranger was like it felt like it focused more on Johnny Depp's character than the actual Lone Ranger. So it was like,
really
what?
did. But it's like it was just like that. Just happens every once in a while to movies. People will just bag on them. Yeah. And then it's just like everybody's like, I can't go see that. It's supposed to be terrible. But did you even see it, though? And all of a sudden it becomes a cult classic, like Dread and stuff like that. We talked about that before.
Yeah.
People actually watch it, and they're like, oh.
Me and you went into Dread probably expecting a comedy because we were like, oh, it's going to be terrible. Fuck it. Let's go see it. It'll probably be funny any other way. And we left the theaters and going, damn, that was fucking good.
It's a good comic book movie.
It's just a good movie. It's just a good action movie. It's kind of true to the source material, which is all you can really ask for.
Exactly. Anything else?
Nope.
We ready for Game of Thrones talk? This is a short.
I would like to say that we're sponsored by Starz now. So download the app.
Yeah, download the app for Starz. If you enjoy Ash vs. Evil Dead, you should download it. If you want to see a 4th season,
or tweet Starz and be like, hey, sell us to Netflix.
Yeah, or something. Yeah, get your.
Let them know you don't want to let them know you want season 4 is the thing. Like,
yeah, that's going to be the way.
Tweet it.
That's the way you get it made.
Email them, whatever your kids do.
I mean, Matt's going to do his part. You know, he wants to see a 4th season, so he's going to do what he can.
Yeah, Bruce said he wanted to do 5 seasons. Damn it! Don't let it stop at 3.
Oh yeah, speaking of that, the sheriff from Stranger Things may have let slip the fact that they're working on Stranger Things season 3 already.
That's not surprising.
I mean, it's not surprising, but he kind of was like in an interview talking about the kids and how they were growing up, and it's like, man, we're going into season 3, and these kids are getting crazy, and he's like, oh, I mean. He's kind of like trying to backpedal, but
it's not shocking.
It's not shocking.
We know what's going to happen.
It's a successful series, and they have an idea for a show's end, which is
comes out in a couple of months, right?
Comes out in a couple months, like 2 months, and then they have an idea for how they want it to end. So let them get there. You know.
Yeah. Let's see how it ends.
The best shows do that. Breaking Bad did it. Yep. Game of Thrones is doing it. That's what
I hope happens with Ash vs. Evil Dead. I hope that they get to a point where it's like.
We know where we're going.
I can have a satisfying ending.
Let us get there.
Yeah.
So that's the end of a regularly scheduled podcast. Thanks for listening.
Check us out on all social media, and
we'll see you next week. This is like a nugget podcast right there.
Nugget.
It was like 15 minutes.
Yep.
But we're ready to talk about Game of Thrones, so we're ready to talk about it for a little bit because it was a...
G-O-T.
It was a supersized episode, and full spoilers for this going into it.
Yeah. So if you didn't watch it, go watch it. What are you doing?
Go watch it. It's 78 minutes. It's a good episode. And
such a good episode.
Full spoilers, it was called Beyond the Wall, and it picked up right where we left off. It actually cut back a lot. Most of the episode took place beyond the wall, as it's called.
Yeah, at first I was like, what is this? Walk through snow and stop and have small conversations, the episode?
Yeah.
Because I guess what I felt like kept happening.
You knew it was going to blow up, though.
Like,
you know.
Here we go. We're walking. Oh, they're stopping. They're going to have a short conversation. Oh, we're walking. Oh, we're stopping. Oh, it's 2 other guys are having a short conversation.
I liked those conversations so much, though, because they showed all the interactions between all the different people.
Well, they had to. They had to show that all these different people who've been kind of throughout different parts of the world that are suddenly all together for this. They kind of had to show like
why they were there. Yeah. Like Jorah was talking to the fire guy about how he fought him in battle one time, and he's sort of a legend. And the Hound got to talk to Tormund, which was like the best part of the whole episode. Or the best conversation out of all those was that, just because it was just like,
because the Hound is being the Hound, man. He's just like, you want to suck my dick?
And it's just like, I like dick. I was like, I bet you do. The Hound's just being the Hound, being upset and being angry.
Oh.
And it was just, I was watching it going, Matt's fucking loving this, man.
Oh God, I was laughing.
There was a lot of Hound in that episode. A lot of Hound being just the Hound.
He's great.
So you're like you said, they're walking and talking. It cuts back to Tyrion talking to Dany. But so before we get to all the beyond the wall stuff, let's talk about the small scenes that happened. The scene where Tyrion was talking to Dany was sort of struck a chord with me, because he was like asking her, what do you plan on doing if you do get the throne? Because you can't have kids, essentially. They keep hinting that she can't have children.
Yeah.
Because she got that fucking curse from that witch,
mm-hmm.
and now she's barren or whatever. So now they're simply implying that she can't have kids. So Tyrion's basically like, so what do? How are you gonna do this once you have the throne? How are you gonna make sure that the person below you doesn't just do the way you used to, breaking the wheel, as she calls it?
Yeah.
And it's like, that makes me think that Dany's not gonna make it through the series.
She might not.
I feel like she's gonna get through, obviously through the next season she's gonna make it, but I feel like she's gonna die. Because why? Like, how poetic would it be that she did all this to set Westeros free and she dies? What more impactful way to like keep it that way?
And then Jon Snow takes over. And
well, Jon Snow's essentially a Targaryen, so
although him and Dany were having some feels going on this episode.
There was a lot of feels going on.
It did feel a little rushed. That's the only thing I really felt rushed, is their little kind of like feelings towards each other.
So before we get into everything, I keep saying that, but like, do you feel like it's going too fast? Because that's everybody's biggest complaint, that this episode was like really, really fast.
Yeah, I guess it did feel kind of fast. I did think to myself a couple of times, like, man, they're like walking really far. Man, they're getting really far really fast, and like nothing's really happening on the other side of the world. Like Sansa and Arya are kind of just bickering, but like during that time, those guys have walked apparently 200,000 miles.
Yeah, they were. I don't know how far away they were.
It seemed like a long ways away.
It seemed like
the way they made
a couple days walk.
Yeah,
and but everybody's kind of complaining that they're like, a lot of things are feeling rushed. I don't know how I feel about that, because for two reasons. One, you're getting to the end point of the series.
Yeah,
you gotta get your point across.
This is when stuff starts happening. So it's like
we can't spend 2 episodes on this story.
The earlier part of the series, people complained about them talking too much.
Yeah.
So shut up.
Enjoy the quickness of it.
Yeah, I mean, just take it in.
Everybody's like, oh, well, you don't have time to get to know the characters or get to know the plight. And I'm just like, you've had like 7 seasons at this point. You know these characters. Let's just let it happen.
They haven't introduced anybody new.
But essentially, it's about money at this point. Like, if you want a really awesome episode of Game of Thrones, they can't turn that episode into 2. It's too much money.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch the behind the scenes on this episode, it's so insane how much production goes into this show.
Yeah. So, yes.
Can I say again how beautiful the show is?
Amazing that the vistas when they're walking, and just the pans of the castle and the music.
Everything. It's just a top-notch A+ show.
And you can tell that the money's going into that. And in order you can't take all this time and put all this extra money into making a second episode Beyond the Wall that has all these vistas, has all these White Walkers. You don't have time to do that. You don't have time. You don't have money. Just let's just pretend. Just pretend when you're watching it that time's passing.
Yeah. So
like, it may take a couple days.
Yeah.
I just imagine they were on that rock for a couple days.
Yeah. So let's get into that. Let's go. So obviously, Littlefinger, from what I gather, is kind of trying to get Arya killed.
Yes. Well, she sees Littlefinger always picks out threats, and he sees her as a threat to.
And he wants Sansa, obviously.
Yes.
And whatever else he wants, because he's obviously a snake in the grass. So, yeah, I kind of gathered that Littlefinger's playing some games and kind of getting.
But I think Arya's up to something as well. I think she's too smart to just fall into his little ploy like that.
Oh yeah, because I mean, she has the faces still, so there's no telling what all she's.
But that was a super tense scene. Like, I was like, what is going to happen? Is she gonna fucking murder Sansa?
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh. And she pulls out the cat's paw, which is what that dagger is called, which has played such a big role this season. And she just gave it back to Sansa, essentially saying, well, I could cut off your face and live like you if I wanted to. She was being really creepy and deep, and assassin-like, but it's like I think she's almost testing Sansa a little bit.
Yeah.
And just to see how she would react. And Littlefinger kind of poisoning Sansa's ear, obviously, saying, well, if Brienne's supposed to protect both of you, who do you think she's going to protect if you go after each other? And
I guess Cersei has contacted for Sansa to
come there, and Sansa's like, I'm not going to go there. I'm going to send Brienne of Tarth away.
And Brienne.
So Brienne and Jaime are going to meet back up again, who haven't seen each other in a while.
Speaking of Brienne, that wildling guy, what's his name?
Tormund Giantsbane.
Tormund, he wants to make a baby with her.
He wants to make giant babies that rule the world. That was one of the best parts of the episode. He says, I have a woman back home. She's a giant, and I'm gonna marry her, and we're gonna make giant babies.
And the Hound's like, Brienne of Tarth? She's like, yes. He's like, oh, God.
Like, yeah, because if you remember, that's the only one who ever bested the Hound was Brienne of Tarth.
But Arya bested Brienne of Tarth, so...
There you go. Hound's got nothing on Arya at this point.
He ain't got nothing.
And
he's got the word cunt.
he used it a lot this episode too. But other than that, there was just like that, and then everything that happened beyond the wall.
So yeah, beyond the wall, man. They get in there and they
talking, and then what do we see from the corner of our eyes in the distance? You remember that part? In the fog when it started to snow really bad?
Oh, the fucking zombie polar bear?
The fucking zombie polar bear. Was not expecting that.
Me either. I was like, oh, well, that's happening.
Yeah, and he was like...
If you watch the behind the scenes on that, it's hilarious because the guys are like, they said we couldn't do it, but we said we want a goddamn polar... They're like cussing, too. They're like, we wanted a goddamn zombie polar bear, and we got it.
Yeah, it was like his skin was like falling off. His eyes were obviously blue like a white. And just... ripping up some red shirts. So in Star Trek, whenever they went out, you know the term red shirts, right?
Yeah.
That's essentially what the team Beyond the Wall had.
Like some people who
were there just to get killed. Yeah. So there's a bunch of red shirts there.
I was like, who are all these people that are dying? I don't remember seeing all them.
Well, you can see it when they're walking and talking because you're paying attention, but you see them in the back like pulling the sleds and the equipment and stuff. So you're like, oh yeah, none of those people are gonna make it out alive. And again, you don't want to kill off all your characters, but you do want to see people, honestly, the macabre part of us wants to see people get killed by whites and zombie polar bears, so let's see it.
I mean, zombie polar bear, man, he was looking much more metal than that.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. He was like, had his skin rotting off. And
then, dude, what's the dude with the eye patch?
Oh, God, I can't remember what that guy's name is.
But he has like a flaming sword.
Yeah, but those two had the flaming swords.
Yeah.
And they could just light them with their hands because they worship the...
I was like, shit.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And... Hound's still terrified of fire, so he just kind of locks up every time he sees the fire. And hopefully he gets over that.
So they defeat the zombie polar bear after a few casualties.
Yes, after a few casualties.
Nobody important.
The man bun gets kind of messed up, but they sort of like cauterize his wounds
a
little bit. Yeah, they cauterize his wounds a little bit and start carrying him. But
so they go up over a hill and they see there's like a small little group of White Walkers.
Yep, they're like, here's our chance. Let's go grab one.
So they hop down there and whoop those White Walkers' asses and tie one up, and that one screams.
Well, you have to point out a very important thing is that when Jon was fighting the actual White Walker, because the zombies are called whites, the White Walkers are called the guys, the leaders. When Jon took that one out,
the other ones
died.
So
they very important point.
So they kind of pointed out that maybe the ones that turned them, if you kill the person that turned them,
the ones that are turned die.
Yeah.
So that's really important for the war to come. Obviously, we're still dealing with a lot of zombified things like white polar bears and people. Every time people die, they come back.
So they tie one of them up, the one that doesn't die.
Yep.
And it makes like this wail.
Reminded me of Left 4 Dead, the witch.
Yeah.
She just summoned everything.
And then here comes shit.
That was a fucking stampede of bodies. That was amazing looking.
So the guys were running, and they run across a frozen pond or a frozen lake.
Yep.
And obviously it's starting to crack. They make their way to a rock in the middle of it, and they're basically surrounded by White Walkers all the way around.
All the way around. And then the White Walkers start to advance, but then a big line of them falls in, so they just stop.
Yeah. And they just stand there for like days. Just standing there.
It definitely felt like it wasn't very long, like one day, but it had to be at least a day or two.
Yeah, it seemed like a couple of days had passed. Just the way they were making the way they were seeming. I don't know.
Yeah, they were getting kind of tired. And
I was like, why are the White Walkers not shooting arrows or throwing spears or something? Like, why are they just standing there?
Yeah, I thought it was like a test or something, but then you realize later when the Hound
The Hound is throwing rocks at them.
He gets pissed off, so he starts chucking rocks at him at the other end. He knocks one of the jaws off, which, by the way, those whites look awesome.
Yeah, they're
that
cool.
one with the skeleton that got his jaw knocked off. I was like, man, that thing looks badass. And
once again, look at the behind the scenes on that. There's some really cool stuff on that.
Yeah, I'll have to look at that. And then he throws another one that kind of falls short, and then starts to like go across the ice, and then the whites sort of realize that if they go off one by one, they'll make it to him.
Yeah, it's just like, oh fuck.
So it becomes like this slow horde of zombies just going towards them in the middle.
And then the Ice King's just kind of sitting up on a hill watching it.
Yeah,
that dude looks so cool.
Yeah. Oh, we gotta say this: when this giant horde attacks, Jon sends Gendry back to the wall.
Yeah, he says, "Go find Daenerys and have her send a Raven."
And the Hound says, "Give me your hammer."
Yep.
And
so
because he said you'll be faster, so then Gendry just takes off running, seemingly runs for days, hours,
which obviously
whatever.
Was not days.
Yeah, it was
whatever took them days to walk. It took Gendry a fucking like 10 minutes to run.
Yeah, but he almost died. He like passed out when he got there, so he probably didn't stop. But it was essentially to send a Raven out to everybody and see what was going on.
So the guys are pretty much trapped on the rock, and they're kind of trying to fight for their lives at this point.
Yep.
What's the wildling dude's name? I can't.
Tormund.
Tormund. You pretty much think he's dead.
I thought he was gonna die. I was really sad. I was like, Tormund, no!
Yeah.
I literally said that out loud because he was like, not only was he getting overwhelmed, but then like they were coming out of the ice and pulling him towards.
Yeah, but then the Hound saves him.
The Hound saves him because the Hound's on this sort of redemption path. So
and the man bun guy dies.
The man bun guy dies
while
and they burn
laying
him.
there. He just dies of freezing to death and being wounded, I guess.
Yeah, so they burned him because they had to, and because they didn't want him coming back. And
which still once again begs the question:
why did they just take him back?
Yeah, or why do they just come back, or somebody have to turn them? Like,
I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't know if it's a zombification bite. Like if they get bitten, then they get turned.
Well, I think we had this discussion? Wasn't there a White Walker in the wall? Didn't somebody die at the wall in one season, and they turned into a White Walker?
Maybe. Yeah, I think so. Something
and it's
like that.
So why didn't they just kill somebody outside the wall and just let them wait for them to turn?
Well, I think they have to be like infected by it. Like I think it is a virus. Maybe. I don't know. I really don't know how it works.
I don't either. Anyways, so they burn him, and I guess Gendry makes it back.
Yep,
and
sends a Raven out.
Sends a Raven, and Daenerys and Tyrion kind of have a little spat about that. Like he's like,
you can't go. What if you die?
And she's like, what if I do nothing?
The biggest thing to take away from this is Dany at this point feels invincible with her dragons. She feels like they're essentially 3 nuclear bombs, and how could she ever lose a battle if she has them?
And
so she takes all 3 of them.
And she loves Jon Snow.
And she loves Jon Snow. She takes all 3 of the dragons there. So let's talk about that scene where on the rock. It was a super tense scene. Like you said, you didn't know who was going to go.
Yeah, you're just like waiting for Jorah Mormont to die.
Let's talk about that because you really wanted Jorah Mormont to die. But I feel like in order for his death to be impactful enough, it has to happen in front of her.
Yeah, I thought
like he can't just die meaninglessly out there.
Can we just say neither one of us called the death in this episode? I don't think anybody did.
Nobody did. It was a big surprise. But anyway, that scene where they're fighting is super tense. I like the close combat.
Yeah.
It never once felt fake to me. Like it never once felt like a cheesy I Am Legend situation where
it was nuts.
Where you didn't think those guys were. I mean, they were zombies obviously, and they weren't real, but.
No, I mean,
it was flawless special effects going on.
Well, like I said, if you go back and look at the behind the scenes, man, like all those people were pretty much real.
Yeah, just green screen stuff on their face and stuff like that, just to cut them out.
Nuts, man.
Yeah, and it was a really good fight. It was a really tense moment. You know, it's Game of Thrones. We're running into this situation with Game of Thrones where it kind of screwed itself a little bit because you're writing a saga story, and a saga story has a beginning and it has an end. And throughout there, you can divert, but eventually you're going to get to the point in your saga where you have to get to that point.
Yep.
You don't have enough characters. So everybody's like, oh, nobody died. Well, nobody significant was dead. But it was like, that all happened earlier in the season when you thought Ned was the hero. And then you thought Robb was the hero. And then you thought, oh, who else? There's been so many. You thought Oberyn, the guy who got his head crushed, but you thought he was going to be significant. But they took that. But now we're at the end. There's 7 episodes of the show left. That's it. Which is depressing in and of itself. But you can't just start knocking off Jon Snow and the Hound.
Yeah.
you can't do it. People want to see that, but and people are kind of pseudo expecting it, but you can't because you still have to tell this story. You can't introduce 3 new people and make them main characters in the last season of the show.
These are kind of these are what you're stuck with.
This is the set piece. You know what's going to happen is who dies at the end.
Yep.
And like nobody's going to die like significantly. Obviously, Jaime could have died, but he didn't. You thought he was. I thought Bronn was going to take a bullet earlier this season, but he didn't. He didn't die either. Yeah. Again. It's too late. It's too late in the game to introduce new people. So this is what we have, and people are calling Game of Thrones a little predictable now. But what else can you do? I just want to see spectacle.
You can't please anybody.
Yeah, you just want to see spectacle. You've been waiting for this forever.
Yeah, this is when shit's starting to get real.
Yeah, and maybe people are gonna get knocked off towards the end of the series, but it's not gonna happen like now because you still have 6 episodes of story to tell.
Speaking of shit getting real, man, like so. It looks like all is lost. Like Jon Snow's kind of like
resigned himself to.
He's just kind of staring around like, fuck, this is it. Like we're done.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden here comes Daenerys on her dragons blowing shit up. And
man, all 3 of them.
And my first thought was, wow, you could have just flown Jon Snow over the wall and seen him and flew back and that'd been it.
Yeah.
Why didn't you do that? What the?
That's true. Why didn't she do that?
That was the first thing I thought when I saw him. I was like, really? She'll go there to save him, like, off his word? Like, but she's like, bring one back so I can see it. But
well, in her defense, I'll have 2 things to say about that. In her defense, it's Cersei is the one who needs to see it because she was at the point where she was kind of believing Jon Snow a little bit, but Cersei was the one who needed convincing.
But Daenerys still wanted to see it.
Like, she still wanted to see it, of course.
So it's just like, why didn't you just fly over there? And he'd be like, oh, there they are. Okay, that's it.
But then it's the Eagles. It's the fucking Lord of the Rings Eagles all over again.
Yep.
Why did the Eagles save Frodo at the end? Why didn't the Eagle just drop Frodo over the volcano so he could throw it in there?
Oh, no.
The fucking Lord of the Rings ends in 4 minutes. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. It's just kind of part of the story. Essentially, Dany.
She comes in there and just starts destroying everything.
Big lines, big strafing lines, blowing up, melting the ice. And
speaking of that, man, the behind the scenes on that's awesome too. Like they made like these big lines of like explosives.
Yeah.
And they filmed those like blowing up as far as that. So like a lot of that fire is actually real.
Fire is the hardest thing to fake.
Yeah.
In special effects. Most people try to do it as practically as they can because it never looks right.
Yeah.
Because fire is so unpredictable. You can't really like map it, you know.
So all this is going down. It looks like all's gonna be all good, and the Ice King pulls out a spear and just like snick.
He's like the javelin champion of the fucking North.
Yep, and he hits one of the dragons, and it goes down like blood spurting
instantaneously. Hits him in the wing, and he starts spurting blood. Catches on fire and spins and crashes into the ice. Dany's just devastated.
Everybody is there just like, whoa, oh my god.
Well, it's like, again, like I said, she thought she was untouchable. She thought she couldn't be harmed by anything.
And then one of them are fucking killed right in front of her.
Instantly. And so she's crushed. Jon didn't make it on the dragon.
Yeah, he winds up getting drug underwater.
Yeah, he sort of sacrificed himself so they could sort of pseudo fly away because
they all had to get away.
He saw the Night's King pull another javelin. He's like, get that thing the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Because, you know.
And the Night King throws another one, misses this time.
Barely. Misses Drogon barely.
So they fly away. They go back to the wall. It looks like Jon Snow's dead, but no, his uncle comes and saves him.
Uncle Benjen Stark, old cold hands.
The guy that we were like, what's his deal? Because he's like half frozen, half not. Is he half White Walker? What is he?
He is much bigger deal in the books. Like, he's a huge deal in the books. So I understand why they kind of did that, but that's the only part of the episode I was kind of thought was a little bit, for lack of a better word, a cop-out, because he kind of just got saved at the last minute by somebody, and then they promptly die.
Yeah.
But it's just like, that's just a way for Jon to be saved, essentially.
They put him on the horse and was like, get out of here.
Get out of here, yeah. And it was they were talking about that behind the scenes. Well, we wanted to bring him back in a significant way, and there's not enough time to really, again, they talked about their truncated schedule. There's not enough time to bring Uncle Benjen in to have a 20-minute conversation with Jon Snow. It's just like, you got to go.
It served its purpose.
He's a bigger deal in the books. So maybe in the books when that happens, it'll be more impactful.
So we go back to the wall where Jon is shirtless and Daenerys is like, oh.
They just have a 20-minute staring contest at each other
and
about
holding hands and
and
rubbing each other and
yeah. So Jon says he's going to bend the knee, and she says she's after she
then
says she's going to help him.
She climaxes.
Jesus.
What? That's what she wanted to hear. She's like,
oh, it happened. Oh, bend the knee.
Bend the knee.
So that happens, and she admits that that's the real enemy, and she once for all. The funniest thing I hope would happen was I hope Jon Snow like woke up. He just like got out of a stupor. He was like, he's like, how are we doing, John? He's like, come here. He's like, I told you so. I was like, so. I was hoping he would throw an "I told you so" in there.
What did I tell you?
I told you they were there. Why'd you let me almost have to die to do it?
I like how you came out of that like coma or whatever and was just like, hey,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
Again, it's he knew that the dragons meant a lot to her because she keeps referring to them as children.
Especially after he had that little moment with that one where he's touching it.
Yeah. So
Daenerys says we're gonna
clearly
fight.
That's the problem here. So.
Clearly, because one of my dragons is dead
instantaneously.
And then we go to the end of the episode where I was so hoping this was going to happen.
Yep.
My
girlfriend called it like at the beginning of the season. She said, wouldn't it be horrifying but amazing?
That's what I
happened?
said. I was like,
and
that's when as soon as it died, I was like,
nope, it's coming back.
I was like, oh shit, does that mean?
Well, they hinted at it because before you didn't know if animals could do that, but then they hinted at it with the polar bear.
Yeah. And
so
the White Walkers are pulling the dragon out with chains out of the water,
and the Night's King
touches it, and its eyes turn blue,
and boom. So now there's a fire-breathing dead white dragon on their side. So
that's
two dragons versus one dragon.
Insane. That's so
It's
cool.
going to be insane when it happens.
That's one of those things like you kind of in your head you're like, man, that'd be really cool if he did that. And typically shows won't go there.
Yeah.
This one did, and I'm like, oh dude, that's so cool.
Well, how do you again, the big thing of this season for me has been the constant teeter-tottering of power, which is what the season is kind of showing. The season starts with Dany, full-scale army. She's like, oh, she could do this easily. But then she starts getting her army whittled away. She's down to nothing.
Cersei's kind of scrambling.
Cersei thinks she's on to something. She's got this. And then fucking the train thing happened. And Jaime's like, whoa, we can't do anything here. There's fucking dragons. And then the power tips back to Dany. And now the power's tipping towards...
And the Ice King.
The Ice King, but it was tipping back towards Dany because Dany's knocking them out left and right. It's like, oh, she can a couple strafes of these dragons knock out the whole army. But nope, not if you have a one-shot kill on a dragon.
And not if you have an Ice King who's a perfect shot with a spear.
Yeah. So, well, he's 50-50 shot. He missed the second time.
Oh, yeah. He's got one hell of an arm.
He does, man. Javelin. But
he must get a lot of practice.
But that's the best, most interesting part about this season is who's in control, and it seems like it changes every week.
Like I said, I'm ready for the White Walkers to come and just cause chaos. It's gonna be like a fucking iced earth cover.
There you go. So next week is the finale. We're both a little heartburn about it.
Yeah, we get to see from the previews. It doesn't really show much, but it shows a lot.
So there's a place called the Dragon's Pit outside of King's Landing where they meet. So.
And they're going to meet Cersei. Jon Snow meets Cersei face to face.
For the first time. Dany's meeting Cersei for the first time. I think Dany's there, right?
I don't think they showed her. I think they just showed Jon Snow and Cersei.
Yeah. So Tyrion's there, though. Tyrion's meeting Cersei for the first time. Jaime's there. Brienne Tarth is going to be there.
It's going to be...
so everybody thinks the Clegane Bowl is going to happen because for some reason they didn't show the Hound, but the Hound's going to be in the same place as the Mountain for the first time since Season 1. Since when that Mountain went insane and left.
What is the Mountain? Like, is he like a zombie now?
He's kind of a zombie.
So they never explain what's going on with that.
They never did. They just, the guy, one of the maesters, Qyburn, I think is his name, just kind of brought him back and said, here's an undead mountain. I'm like, all right, well, which it doesn't explain why Cersei doesn't believe that zombies exist when she has one guarding her at all times. But let's just forget about that.
Yeah.
But,
so did they leave the White Walker behind?
No, they got it.
Okay.
The Hound threw it in a boat.
Okay.
At the very end of the episode, and what happened? Tormund stayed at Eastwatch. The Hound took the thing. Not 100% sure why Jon Snow's on a boat, but when they all flew away on dragons. But it seems like dragons the new fast travel device, just to have a dragon drop you off.
I don't know. They walk pretty fast, so
yeah. Boats
might be a little slower.
But again, it's truncated time period, but come on. I would rather have 7 concise episodes at this point.
And this episode was chaotic.
Yes, it was a lot of chaos, but it's kind of like that's what happens in war.
Yeah, I liked it, dude. It was awesome.
You don't necessarily get time to breathe.
I can't wait for this week, and also can wait for this week because I don't want it to end.
Yeah, it's going to be sad. It's going to be an extra large episode, and we're going to hopefully get... I want to see the Mountain and the Hound meet again. I think that would be kind of cool. Whether anything happens...
I just want them to, like... Obviously, I expect Cersei to be like, fuck you to everybody, and...
Yeah, something...
Then I hope the Ice King and the White Walkers just, like, show up out of nowhere and just start...
But I don't know if they can survive in the not snow.
Yeah, they can.
Yeah, they can. You just decided...
They got a dragon. It's cool.
They just fly over on the dragon.
Yeah. They bring winter with them, dude.
That's true. I guess they don't walk very fast.
Yeah, no, they're probably going to be there in a couple more years, so they probably got some time.
I do think it has to be like snowing outside for them to get past it. And I think maybe they're looking for the weakest point to pass the wall.
Maybe.
I guess.
I don't know.
And Eastwatch is kind of the least guarded one. I don't know how it works. I can't necessarily say the North is a big place, but they've been walking for like 8 years, it seems like, and it seems like they should be there by now. But
come on, Ice King.
How far away was that tree that Bran was at? That's where they were, but now Bran's been in Winterfell for like 9.5 hours. 9.5 months, I should say.
Yeah, and so the White Walkers are just taking their time.
Just taking their time.
They're taking it all in.
Maybe they're just gathering forces. Who knows?
Maybe they're just taking time to smell the flowers.
It's true. Maybe they're taking time to smell the roses. I mean, imagine the episode sort of hinted at that maybe they would have been. Maybe they were close to the wall.
I don't think it said anything about the White Walkers in that preview, from what I could tell.
No, I mean they were close to the wall because Gendry kind of ran there nonstop.
Yeah, they shouldn't be too far.
They shouldn't be too far from the wall. A couple of days march maybe, but then I don't know.
Man, I can't wait.
I'm interested to see what happens. I'm expecting or hoping for like some sort of big twist next week. I don't know what it is.
I think we're going to be left with some sort of crazy cliffhanger, and then we're going to have to wait like 2 years to see.
Oh, God, 2 years. That's a long time. Make it good, though.
Yeah, make it worth it.
Yeah, make it worth the wait. Make it worth the...
I said, if we happen to get nuked before then, somebody needs to make like a quick episode explaining what's going on, what happens, because we need to know.
So do we lose somebody big?
Yeah, tomorrow or the next episode.
Next episode, do we lose somebody big? Jaime, Tyrion, Dany. Not Dany, maybe not Dany.
I don't know if we'll lose them. We might get like somebody getting captured, maybe, or turning sides.
I'm a little afraid for Tyrion at this point.
Yeah, it seems like they're kind of...
Tyrion or Jaime might have issues.
Maybe they'll kill each other.
Brienne of Tarth might be in trouble.
Yeah.
Hound might be in trouble.
There's a lot of people in trouble at this point.
Yeah, we still don't know what's going on with Sansa, Littlefinger, and Arya. They've got their own little storyline going now.
I wonder what Littlefinger's big plan is, because you feel like he's really...
There is a theory, mind you, that Arya has already killed Littlefinger, and she is testing Sansa by being Littlefinger. Because you never saw Littlefinger and Arya together in this episode.
That's true.
So... if she discovered what he was doing, maybe she's
just like, slice, you're dead.
I mean, that's all it would take.
Well, she's pretty ruthless, so.
So those are the only two storylines going on right now. Littlefinger's plot, and now it's the Knights ice zombie battle.
Yep, and Jon Snow's
there used to be 20 stories going on, but now there's only 2.
Jon Snow's like, fucking told you so.
And he's like, boo! He just drops the bomb, just like... Jon Snow just needs to drop the mic on everybody.
Drop that sword.
He just dropped the sword. Oh, that was an interesting scene where Jorah Mormont almost got his sword back, and I was like, Jon, what are you doing? Do you realize that's like a secret weapon against the White Walkers that kills him in one slice, and you're trying to give it back? But that essentially hinted at that Jon Snow might have kids, and Dany's saying she can't have kids, so I think they're hinting strongly that Dany might not make it to the end of the series.
I don't know.
There's got to be a big loss.
Yeah, something's got to happen.
And Tyrion's not. Sadly, I like Tyrion. I like Tyrion a lot better when he was more political and like in the mix at King's Landing and stuff. Right now, he's kind of just like he's taking a back seat a little bit. So I think his loss might not be as impactful. But it's got to be Dany or Jon that doesn't make it.
Maybe we could be completely wrong too.
Yeah. It's Game of Thrones.
One of the dragons went down this episode, so it may not make sense for somebody to be.
So, any predictions for next week?
I really don't. Like, at this point, I'm just like,
let's watch it.
Let's just watch it and see what the fuck happens. Because on Jon Snow and Cersei face to face,
that's a big deal.
7 seasons in the making.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for watching.
Hope you enjoyed. Hope you like Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I wonder what the fuck we're going to talk about when we don't have Game of Thrones to talk about anymore.
Let's talk about life.
We might just take a week off because we're just tired.
We'll just talk about pizza pot stickers.
Pizza pot stickers. I need to make those for the Game of Thrones finale show podcast. We're eating pizza pot stickers, talking about Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we'll see you next time.
Yep.
Gross. Me and Matt are just going to stare longingly at each other right for the rest of the podcast.
We need to start live streaming these.
Like live streaming us kind of holding hands and just staring at each other.
You want to suck my dick or what?